Okay, today we are going to write fractions to decimals, all right? Now, what I want you to do is, before I get started here, which you should know about half of these without doing any work, all right?
Sorry, the 2 main points were so a little more than about 2 seconds.
2 seconds. Hurry up, boys. You're missing a great lecture. All right? Now, again, I'm just going to the bottom of the page because I want you to be able to be able to know certain fractions. All right. Now, the most important fraction that I want you to be able to tell me about would be 1/10. Somebody tell me what 1/10 is. Go. 0.1 or 0.10. 0.1 is better, right? 2/10 is the same as what? 0.2. But 2/10 reduces to what? 1/5, right? 3/10 is what? 0.3. 4/10 is what? All right, now look, you're supposed to be recognizing the patterns. But 4/10 also reduces to what? To 2/5. All right? So these are the decimals that I think you should know. All right? And the fractions. Now I'm just going to continue. 5/10 is the same as what? 1/2, which is the same as 0.5. 6/10 is the same as 3/5, which is 0.6. 7/10 is 0.7. 8/10 is the same as 4/5, which is the same as 0.8. 9/10 is 0.9, and 10/10, of course, is 1. So listen to me real carefully. Guys, we're not making a scene. I'm just trying to get busy here. All right? So look up for me real quick. Look up. Now, you should know everything from 1/10 to 10/10 what decimals those are. Now, the next thing I'd like for you to do is, if you haven't already, is notice that the fifths, you should highlight all the fifths. All the fifths do is count by 0.2. So if somebody says 1/5, you should automatically know it's 0.2. You should know 2/5 is 0.4. You should know 3/5 is 0.6. You should know 4/5 is 0.8. I feel like everybody should know that. All right? Now, the next important part. All right, we're just going to keep going. I feel like everybody in here should know 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. 1/4 is what decimal? 1/4 is, think about it in terms of the money in your pocket. A quarter, 1/4, is the same as 25 cents. 2/4 is the same as 0.5, and if you'll notice, 2/4 is the same as 1/2. And then 3/4 is the same as what? Yes, 0.75. So I'd like for you to know that. All right, you should just know that real quick. All right? Now, the next one that I think is helpful that most kids do not know are the eighths. All right? Now, I'm going to put 1/8 right next to 1/4. The reason is because I'm going to try to tell you that 1/8 is half of 1/4. So what's half of 25? What's half of 25? 12.5. So the decimal 1/8, you should be able to tell me, is 0.125. Now, I'm not expecting you to know that right now, but we're going to do it so many times, you should just know from now on, 1/8 is what? 0.125. When I ask you about that, that should be good. All right? Just like I'm going to tell you, I want you to know what is 3/8. I would like for you to know that 3/8 is 0.375. I would want you to know that. All right, write those down. I would also like you to know 5/8 is 0.625. That's something you should know. All right. And the last 8 that you should know is 7/8, which is 0.875. Now let's say for some crazy reason I forgot that 7/8 is 0.875. Does anybody remember how do we convert to a decimal? What do? Yeah, you just divide. So I'm going to show you, just in case you forgot, it's going to be 8 goes into 7.0. Does 8 go into 7? No. How many times does 8 go into 70? 8 times. So we do 8 times 8 is 64, subtract 6. Then you bring a 0 down. All right, 8 goes into 70 7 times. Bring down a 4, add a 0. Wow, 8 goes into 40 how many times? 5. That's why 7/8 is 0.875. So you can either do the division, right, or you can just remember that fact. All right, is everybody understanding me, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, now the fun ones that I want you to know. Yes?
What is the 1/5?
What's the what?
The fraction before
You good? All right. Now, the last part that I want to memorize now is this. I want everybody, and this isn't really memorizing, this is just because we're smart. 1/9. That's right. So look right here. If I divided this out, 9 goes into 10 one time. 1 is just 1 repeated, correct? All right, so 1/9 is 0.1 repeated. What do you think 2/9 is? 2 repeated, thank you. All right. 3/9 is 0.3 repeated. Exactly. See, math is a bunch of patterns. Now, 3/9, of course, reduces to what? To 1/3. So sometimes it's hidden. 3/9 reduces to 1/3. 1/3 is 0.3 repeated. Now, what is 4/9? Yes, 0.4 repeated. See, it's a pattern. It's a pattern.
Is it the same thing with the 11?
No, no. 5/9 is 0.5 repeated. 6/9, which is 2/3, is 0.6 repeated. Right? 7/9 is 0.7 repeated. 8/9, somebody help me,
Is 8 repeated?
0.8 repeated.
And 9/9 is 1.
Wow. So again, brilliant. But so if I ask you today what 9/9 is, you would say 1. But according to our pattern,
It's 1 repeated.
it should be not 1 repeated, but 9 repeated. So tonight I want you to go home, if you remember, and ask your parents what they think 0.9 repeated is. All right, 0.9 repeated is a very weird number. I can prove that 0.9 repeated is in fact what? 1. I can't do that until you're in algebra, but I can prove to you that 0.9 repeated is in fact 1. Which means, does everybody see how that's a little strange, right? Because 1 is not the same as 0.9 repeated. But we can prove 0.9 repeated is what? 1. So it's kind of something strange in math. All right? Now, one other thing real quick, guys, just to see how smart you are. Look right here. If I said 0.2 repeated, you would just tell me that fraction is what? 2/9. All right? Now, something really nice. 0.34. Who can tell me what that? Oh, 0.34 repeated. What's that fraction? Very good, Julia. It was 34 out of 99. Very good. 34 out of 99.
Oh, and then it's like 100.
So, if there are 2 numbers repeated, it's 99, right? So, well, hold on. If I said this, 0.101 repeated, what fraction is that?
101.
You're awesome. That's how simple. All right, anytime you have something repeated, at some point it's going to be over 999. All right, yes. Don't worry about the page right now. All right. Now, I think those are all the common fractions that you should know. All right. Now, if you can refer to those, or if you have them memorized, then the worksheet is going to be very what? It's going to be very easy. So now I want to go back to the beginning. All right. And I'm going to go down and do the odds with you. All right, we're going to do the odds. All right. So everybody in here now should be able to quickly tell me, just instead of getting up, just put it on your desk. All right. 3/4 is the same as what decimal? Everybody. 0.75. Everybody should know that. All right. Now, 5/10. Everybody should be able to tell me is what? 0.5. Thank you. 0.50 is okay. Remember the zeros after the doesn't matter. All right. 1300ths would be what? 0.13. Now listen, I don't want to be going too fast. Is anybody having issues with what I'm saying? These are facts that you should know. Sebastian, what? All right. 7/10. We all should know 7/10 is what? 0.7. 1/4 is the same as what? Good, guys. -3/10 is the same. Negative 0.3. Negative 0.3. All right. And I tell you, this was easy, right? Very easy.
Yes.
All right. Now, because we just studied 1/8, you can either refer to your notes, right? Or if you remembered it was, yes, good job, 0.125. I would like for you to have that memorized. But let's say you take a test and you forgot, then what would you do? You would just divide. That literally means 1/8 literally means 1 divided by 8. That's literally what that means. 1 divided by 8. All right? Now, if you have one pizza and you divide it by 8 people, is it more than one? Does everybody get more than one pizza or does everybody get less? Everybody gets a piece. All right? Everybody gets a piece. All right? Which is a fraction. Okay, 7/30ths. I'm not expecting you to know how to do. So we have to do what? Yeah, we're just going to divide it out. And I'm going to do the division with you. So that means you're going to have to do what? The division on your own. All right? I'm expecting everybody not to be lazy. Pretty soon we're going to have calculators. You'll be able to work with calculators. But right now we're practicing the concept of what is the fraction 7/30ths. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 30. And I just like to put in a couple zeros right off the bat. Now, how many times does 30 go into 70? Right, so I put a 2. And then I know it's 60. When I subtract, I get what? Bring down the 0. 30 goes into 100 3 times. So now I'm at subtract. Uh-oh. So now it's going to what? It's going to repeat. Now, is the 2 repeating or is the 3 the 3? So all you do is you put a bar over the 3. Does the bar go over the 2 also? No, it does not. All right, I'm pretty sure you guys know that. Now, listen to me. Really and truly, guys, that wasn't that hard, right? Right, it's really simple. All right, now, I hated doing this because it involved division. All right, but we're not going to be doing it for long, so you're going to have to suffer through it at first. All right? Now, did I expect you to know what 7/11ths is? No. So we have to divide out 11 into 7. So here we go. Make sure you're doing a good job. 11, 7 point. All right. How many times does 11 go into 70? 6 times. Thank you. 6 times 11 is 66. When I subtract, I get a 4, right? Bring down the 0. How many times does 11 go into 40? 3 times. 33. Subtract, I get a... Uh-oh. 11 goes into 70. So this looks like Yeah, then we just repeat again, right? So 7/11 is the same as, right, 0.63 with a bar over it. All right, now notice what I'm doing. I'm highlighting this, and then I'm shrinking it down. All right? I think that's a nice way to do things. I love the notability. It gives you lots of flexibility. Now, should we know -3/5?
Yes.
Yes. -0.6. I'm very proud of you, girl. That's a good job. -0.6. Everybody else speak up too, guys. All right, everybody. And listen to me again. Remember what I tried to tell you. The only way you're going to make better on your test is if you're having problems, you ask me a question. All right? Anybody have any questions? Anybody? All right. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go back because we have time. We're going to do the evens.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to go down and do the evens real quick. All right? So we talked about 2/5 is the same as what? 0.4. Beautiful. 5/5 is the same as 1. 4/5 is the same as 0.8. Good job. Uh-oh. Who remembers 7/8?
It's 0.8.
You are awesome, girl. Good job. 7/8. You should have that memorized. 0.875. Now, of course, remember I told you if you forget, you can just do what? Divide it out. But we're going to do it so many times, you should be trying to put those specific numbers in your head. Uh-oh. 7 out of 50. Can you tell me what that is? Now, how did you get that so fast? Did you do the division?
Yeah.
Okay, what's a quicker way instead of doing division?
Oh, you do 50 times 2.
Yeah. Listen, let's remember this now. You can, if you can always convert it to hundreds, right? So 7/50 is the same as 14/100, which is the same as 0.14. Does that make sense? Now, does it matter if you did the division? No, it doesn't make a difference if you did the division. All right? But again, converting it to tenths or hundredths or even thousandths is okay. Now, I didn't give you specific instructions on 11ths, so let's go ahead and divide that out. 11, 1.000. Now, does 11 go into 10? So here's the mistake most kids make on this one. They forget that you have to put decimal and then a 0. Did everybody see that? Right? So now how many times does 11 go into 100? 9, right? So that's 99. Subtract, you get a 1. Yeah, so some of you are already smart enough you can recognize that pattern. So then it would be 0 and then a 9. All right, does everybody see that? All right, it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. So we can say again, Max, what? Yeah, so the answer would be?
0.09.
Right, 0.09 with a bar over it. All right, guys, I told you this is very easy. All right, so let's move on. I don't know what 1/12 is or 1/15, so we're going to practice that. 12, 1.000. So 12 does not go into 10, right? So the mistake kids make is they forget the decimal and a 0. Come on, guys. Don't. I'm not doing the work. I am not doing the work. You are doing the work with me. Right? Some of you are really smart, but you still really need the practice. All right? So if I have to do the division, you're going to do the division. All right? Now, how many times does 12 go into 100? 8 times. Because 8 times 12 is 96. We're practicing mental math. And then when I subtract, I get a 4. Bring down a 0. How many times does 12 go into 40? 3 times. Good job. 3 times 12 is, oh, so that's nice now, right? So now it's going, right, very good. So the bar would go over just the what?
3.
Just the 3. So it'd be 0.08 with a bar over the 3. All right? So 1/12 is the same as 0.083 bar over the 3. Now understand what I'm doing now. Make sure you're seeing that, please. All right. Continue on, continue on. All right, here we go. 1/15th, let's talk about that now. Blowing it up. Again, 1/15th. I'm doing 15 goes into 1.000. That is 15 going to 10.
No.
Nope. So again, we're just demonstrating 0.0. How many times does 15 go into 100?
Oh, 4 times? No.
Just think about it before you try to say something. 6 times. Because 6 times 15 is 90. Thank you. So put a 6 here. 6 times 15 is 90. Subtract. Uh-oh. Yeah, so see, that's a very easy one. Good for you.
How do you know how many zeros?
I don't. You know what I mean? You can put as many as you want. All right. But she found out the pattern now. 0.06 with just a bar over the 6. Very good. Very good. All right. Now everybody should know 5/9 because we talked about it. 0.5 what?
Bar.
Repeated. Very good. Don't forget the negative. 0.5 with a bar over it. All right. 1/6 is not something I would want you to know or that you're expected to know. So let's do the division real quick. 6 goes into 1.00. How many times does 6 go into 10? 1. Subtract. 4. Bring down a 0. 6 goes into 40. 6 times. Oh, there we go. There it is. So 1/6 is 0.16 with a bar just over the 6. Reese, you keeping up with me? All right, buddy. Come on. Nobody can be lazy. If I have to do all this division, you have to do all this division. Now, you guys, come on, agree with me. That's not that hard, right? Right, all right. I feel good about it. Really good. The only difference this year than last year is now we have some negatives involved, right? All right, now let's take a look at which one's bigger, all right? So, again, what was 1/8? 0.125. So underneath 1/8, I would want you to put 0.125. And we're comparing that to 0.12. Now, whenever I'm making a comparison with decimals, I like to have the same number of decimals. So in my opinion, I would just throw up a what? A 0 here. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
And now, which one's bigger? Yeah, 1/8. All right. Now, everybody take a look at 23. Is everybody feeling good about 23? What's true about those?
They're equal.
Definitely equal. I like that.
Quality.
Now, here's what I used to do, which kind of annoyed my teacher, is if I already did a problem, I would go see where it is. Did we already do 1/11th?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me what 1/11th is. So I have to find it. Right. So I would come up here and change this to 0.09. Was it a repeating over 0 and the 9?
No. Yes.
Was it? Right? Compared to 0.1. Now, for 0.1, I would just convert that to 0.10. And now I'm comparing 0.10 to 0.09, and I would know what?
0.10.
0.10 is greater. Now, does everybody understand what I'm saying about using the decimals if you've already done them? Look back at the notes and see. I don't want you dividing twice. You're doing as fast as you can. All right? Now, we already talked about 3/5. 3/5 was the same as 0.6, and 3/4 was the same as, so I know that, yes, and you say 3/5 is less than 3/4. Everybody pretty good with that?
Yes.
Right? Okay, so now I'm over to 22 now. 2/3 is the same as what decimal?
0.66.
That's right, 0.6 repeating. So which one's bigger, 0.6 repeating or 0.7?
0.7.
0.7, good. So 0.6 is less than. 2/5 is the same as what? Come on.
4.4.
0.4, good.
So
Now, here's the mistake some people make. Remember, when you were younger, you used to look at this and say, because there's 3 more numbers, that must be the bigger one. Is that true?
No.
No, you are comparing the 3 and the 4, and since the 4 is bigger, 0.395 is less than 0.4. Does everybody call that information right? Don't you agree? Come on, guys. This should be simple for you. Now, I don't want to take a test next week, and all of a sudden it's a problem when you've been sitting here telling me it's easy. So if you're not sure about something, speak up. You should be doing the problems on your own. Try to beat me. That's what your job is.
Okay.
All right? Oh, did we already do 1/6?
Yes.
What was 1/6?
16 with the repeating step.
Was it 0.16 with the repeat on both of them?
No.
Only the 6. Very good. So now we have a problem. Which one's bigger now? Sebastian.
1/6 because it has 6.
Right. So here is, so this would be 0.1616. Everybody agree with that?
Yes, sir.
This would be 0.1666. Does everybody see that? So the first two are the same, but the third one is different. So 1/6 is greater, or 0.16 repeated is less than 1/6. Listen, I don't want the games. I don't want you playing around. It's not a joke to me. I'm working hard. That's what I'm expecting you to do. All right, I mean it. Concentrate. Uh-oh, everybody should be able to quickly tell me 28 is what? That's easy, right? All right. Now, here we go. Did we do 9/11ths yet? We haven't done that problem, have we? So I got to convert that to a decimal. I know 9/10 is what? 0.9, right? And I like 0.99 because I can make a comparison. But let's do 11. 9.0. Well, how many times does 11 go into 9? 90. 8 times. So do I have to go any further? No, I don't have to go any further because I'm comparing 0.8 to 0.99 and 0.9. So which one is the smallest?
0.89.
Which would be the fraction what, though? 9/11ths. So everybody writes 9/11ths. Then what?
Then
9/10ths. And then what?
0.99.
0.99. All right, is everybody happy with that? All right. Now let's check out the next fractions. All right, so I have 0.5. We all know what 4/9 is. What is that, guys?
0.4. Repeated.
0.4 repeated. And then 2/5, we should know that also.
Oh,
That's 0.4. Everybody with me? So which one's the smallest?
0.4.
0.4, which is the fraction. And then what?
Then 4.
Then 4/9. And then what? And then 0.5. Guys, you agree? Come on, that's not that hard.
Yeah.
Everybody agree with me?
Yeah.
All right. So tonight's homework. Here is what I want you to do for me. I'm going to give you a break. On the next worksheet at the top, I want you to put this. Odds. Bless you. I want everybody to try the odds. Now, on the third worksheet, these are kind of like our ERBs. All right? Those are like the ERBs. I want you to try all 6. 1 through 6. Everybody with me? So I'm giving you a break. You don't have to do the evens. So you have to do 1 through 27 odds, and then 1 through 6. Make that your note to yourself now. Everybody good? All right, so now I'm going to stop the video. All right, and all you're doing right now is quietly working on your own. You're quietly working on your own. I'll tell you how much time we have in a second. All right, today's topic is converting fractions to decimals, which I know everybody here already knows how to do. But now that you're in 7th grade, I'm expecting you to know some facts. I'm expecting you to know all the 10ths. I'm expecting you to know all the 9ths. I'm expecting you to know all the 8ths. I'm expecting you to know all the 5ths, the 4ths, the 3rds, all right, and all of the 10ths. All right, now let's review that. Yes, sir. Quickly. Lander, can you help him with availability, please? Thank you, Lander, again. All right. In the meantime, let's go ahead and I'm going to explain to you what you should know. All right, which everybody does know. So if you would, you could add a paper so you can start writing these fractions down. These is what you have to know. All right. First thing I'm going to say is everybody should know 1/10. Uh-oh. There we go. Sorry. Everybody should know 1/10. 1/10 is what?
10%.
Good. 0.1. 2/10 should be what? Very good. 0.2. 3/10 should be what?
0.3.
And 4/10.
0.4.
And 5/10.
0.5.
Okay. Now I want to go back just for a quick second. Thank you again, Len. It didn't help.
There was no way to open in availability.
All right.
Just take a picture.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. All right. Now what I want everybody to do is this. I want everybody to look at 2/10. You should know that 2/10 reduces to what? 1/5. You should know 4/10 can reduce to what? 2/5. And you should know that 5/10 reduces to what? 1/2. You guys know that. All right. You're recognizing the patterns. That's what we're doing. All right. So now I'm just going to continue on. 6/10 is what decimal? 7/10 is what?
0.7.
8/10 is what?
0.8.
9/10 is,
0.9.
and of course 10/10 is 1. Now again, if you look at 6/10, you know that can be reduced to 3/5. 8/10 can reduce to what? 4/5. Is everybody happy with that explanation so far?
Yes.
Everybody see that, right? Okay, so I would like for you now to highlight the 1/5. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. The easy way to remember fifths is that they're divisible by, or not divisible by, but they're the 2/10. So 1/5 is 2/10, 2/5 is 4/10, 3/10 is 6/10, and 4/5 is 8/10. Is everybody happy with that explanation?
Yes.
All right. Now, those are the ones I feel like they're just so basic, everybody should know those. All right. Now I'm going to give you some more basic ones that you should know. Everybody in here should know 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. Of course, 1/4 is 1/4, and 1/4 is what decimal? Yes, that's how you should know it. 1/4 is 0.25. And then 50 cents, right? And then 75 cents. So anytime you see these fractions, there's no thought to it. You just know the answer. All right? Now, the next one I want to do is I want to show you the eighths. Now, not many people know the eighths, but I want you guys to know the eighths because I think you're smart. All right? So when I do 1/8, I want everybody to be able to tell me that's 0.125. And now what somebody's supposed to say is, well, how am I supposed to know that? Well, listen how easy it is. 1/8 is half of 1/4. Listen to what I'm saying. Right? 1/8 is half of 1/4. And 1/4 is 0.25. So what's half of 250?
0.25.
That's how easy it is to learn that. All right, does everybody see that? So 1/8 is 0.125. All right? Now, the next one that I want you to memorize is 3/8. 3/8 is 0.375. 5/8 is 0.625. And 7/8 is 0.875. I feel like you're smart enough to do that. Now, let's just say on the test I said, what's 7/8 and you forgot. How do I figure that out, though? Do you remember?
7 or divide by 8.
Yes, that's right. A fraction is nothing more than a division problem. So just to refresh you on this would be 8 goes into 7. Now, some people say, well, I can't remember if it was 7 goes into 8 or 8 goes into 7. Now, how did I know that it was 8 goes into 7? Is this fraction more than 1 or less than 1? Less than 1. So it can't be that. Because how many times does 7 go into 8? Once, which makes it more than 1. Is everybody hearing me?
Yes.
Right? So that's how I learned to figure out what number I was dividing. Does everybody agree with that? I had to know if it was greater than 1 or less than 1. Yes.
I just figured it out because there's also the division sign that looks exactly like that.
Yes.
Yes, I'm divided.
Yep. There you go. All right. Now we have to include a decimal here and throw down a 0. How many times is 8 going to 7?
0.
Good. So now how many times is 8 going to 70?
8.
Good. 64. Subtract and I get a what?
6.
Then you add a 0, bring down a 0. How many times is 8 going to 60? 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 4, bring down a 0. That's how you get 0.875. If you forget, you can always do the what? You can always just do the division. Is everybody happy with that explanation?
Yes.
Right, that's not hard. All right? Now, the last example, or the last fraction that I think you should know are all the ninths. And let me explain to you why. All right? 1/9. All right, if I divided that out, I quickly realized that it came out to be 0.1, but it was 0.1 repeated. Listen to me, it's very simple. So 1/9 was 0.1 repeated. What do you think 2/9 is? 0.2 repeated. What do you think 3/9 is? 0.3 repeated. But I also want you to know that 3/9 is the same as what? 1/3. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
So what do you think 4/9 is?
0.4.
Yeah, good. Everybody knows that. And so on and so forth. Does everybody agree with me on that? The ninths are super easy, but for some reason, people think it's hard. All right?
That's easy.
Now, let me ask you this. What is 0.8 repeated as a fraction? 8 out of 9. Now, here's the tricky one. What is 0.9 repeated?
1.
Wow, that's pretty good. All right, 0.9 repeated, believe it or not, is 9 over 9,
It's a whole number.
which is equal to 1. Now, again, there's a contradiction there because 1 is not the same as what? 0.9 repeated. But we can prove that 0.9 repeated is the same as 1. So believe it or not, that's very, very good, tricky math question. I think you should go home and ask your parents what they think 0.9 repeated is as a fraction. All right? Very tricky problem. All right, next year I'll be able to prove to you that 0.9 repeated is 1, but right now we don't have the ability. All right, but next year I will. All right? Now, the next thing I want to ask you, let's see who's thinking. If I said 0.23 repeated, can anybody tell me what fraction that is?
For the ninths, it
Yep.
would be 23 over 9.
Nope. 23 over
9.
Oh, 9.
23 over 99.
Wait. Oh, because you have to add another one because since 23 is a bigger number.
That's exactly right. So if I said this, somebody stay with me, 0.146 repeated. Somebody tell me what that would be.
146 over 9.
That's exactly correct. 146 over 999. All repeated fractions somehow will get down to a 999. All right, there'll be a 9. Now, sometimes you can do what? Reduce the fraction. All right, you definitely can reduce the fraction. That's why it doesn't always appear to be over 9. Like, for example, 0.6 repeated is the same as what? 6 over 9, right? But that reduces to what? 2/3. So it doesn't appear like it's over 9. Is everybody with me on that?
Yes.
But actually it is. All right, is everybody happy with that explanation now? All right, now that we've done that, we refreshed all that, the rest of it's, guess what now? Super easy. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the second worksheet now, and I want to show you what we're doing. All right, now we're just going to fly through these. All right, we're going to fly through these. All right. 3/5 is the same as what? 0.6. Very good. 1/8. Now again, if you want to look at your notes, you can. But 1/8 is what? 1/8 is what decimal?
0.125.
Yes, 0.125. All right. Now I'm at 9/11ths. I haven't given you that. So we're going to divide that out. Now again, the division is not that hard. It's a good review. I'm doing all the division that I'm asking you to do, so you're going to do it at your desk. All right? So here we go. 11 goes into 9.00. I just throw up a couple zeros. All right? Does 11 go into 9? No. Does 11 go into 90? How many times?
8 times.
8 times. So I'm going to put an 8 here. And 8 times 11 is 88. Then I subtract 2, bring down to the 0. How many times does 11 go into 20?
Once.
1, 11, subtract. Uh-oh. Does everybody see now? It's going to be repeated. Do you agree?
Yeah. So it's 0.81.
0.81 repeated. Now, come on. That wasn't that hard, guys. That wasn't that hard. All right. Is everybody happy with that?
Yes.
All right. So now I like to shrink things down out of the way. All right. So it doesn't interfere with the rest of my work. So I'm going to go over to quickly number 4. All right. I know my answer is going to be negative, but we didn't do 16ths. Is agreed? So I got to divide again. All right. But division is not that hard. And again, plus I'm trying to teach you how to quickly do division. All right. Negative 3.000. I don't know how many zeros I need. All right. How many times does 16 go into 30? Twice. 32, so it has to be once, right? So let's do 1. 16, subtract, I get what? 14, right? Is everybody good with that? Now I have to add a 0. All right, how many times does 16 go into 140? All right, so I'm going to come over here and do 16, right? Now, if I do, does everybody agree that 16 almost goes into 14?
Yeah.
So we should try 9. All right, so let's do 16 times 9. When we're doing this, I like to keep the answer on the side because I may have to use it in the future. So 90 plus 54 is what? 144. Everybody good with that? All right, so that was a little bit too much, right? So now 16 times 8 is 128. All right, so here we go. Putting down the 8. 128. When I subtract, I get 12. I'm bringing down 120. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Now, 16 times 8 was too much, so it's got to be 16 times what?
7
16 times 7, 70 plus 42,
is
112, right? Is that right? 112? All right, so now I do 7, 112, 80 now, right? And then 16 times 5 is 80, right? Just to make sure. 50 plus 30. So that was kind of annoying. All right, I'm not going to argue with you, but it's not that hard. All right, you can do division. It's a good review. Is everybody happy with that? Negative 0.1875. All right, so now that I have that, I'm going to shrink it down so I don't interfere with anything else. All right, let's take a look at number 5. All right, again, we have to do some division here. All right, so let's do 3. 40 goes into 3.000. So does 40 go into 30?
No.
So you have to put a 0. That's where the mistake is made right there. Most people forget to put a 0 there, okay? Now, how many times does 40 go into 300? 7 times, right? So 7 times 280, right? Oh, this one's easy. And then what?
5.
Right. 5 times 40 is 200. So is everybody happy with that being 0.08, or I'm sorry, 0.075?
Yes.
That's not bad, right? All right, I'm happy with that. All right, let's do a couple. Let's do 6. All right, I didn't do. Now well, I did 9 11ths. Let's see if there should be a quick pattern to 8 11ths. So let's do that again. 11 goes into 8.0. 7 times, thank you. So 77, subtract, I get a what?
0.
Subtract, I get a 3,
Oh,
right?
sorry.
That's all right. 3, then we bring down to 0. And then how many times does 11 go into 30?
2.
2. Good job, guys. Keep going with me. And then I subtract and get a what?
8.
8. Oh.
Yeah, 8. And then bring down the 0.
Oh, wait a minute. I got back to 80, right?
Yeah, so it's repeated.
Yeah, so it's 0.72 repeated. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right, that's not too bad. All right, usually it's a couple numbers, 3 numbers, 4 numbers, maybe. All right, don't be lazy on me now. All right, we're practicing. All right. All right, here we go. Let's check out number 7. Oh, it's another kind of a bummer. Oh, let's go to 9. We should know what 9 is.
Oh,
0.7.
0.7 repeated. I'm going to go, let's see if we can find some that guess what we could do to 11? Reduce that fraction, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
What can I reduce it by?
First do it.
By 4, right?
4.
Yes.
And then 2.
So wait a minute. Negative 3/4, right? Which is the same as negative,
0.75.
right, negative 0.75. I like that. All right. Uh-oh, let's jump down to 17. Negative 2/3 is what decimal?
60.66.
0.6 repeated. Very good. All right. Now, if you weren't sure about that, remember 2/3 is the same as 6/9. Is everybody good? And then don't forget the negative.
That's not us.
No, that's not
Look
us.
at that at 33.
That's not us. All right. 18, 7/8. What was that on our notes? Yes, thank you, girl. 0.875. Very smart. All right. 0.875. Now, hopefully, it'll motivate you to kind of memorize some of these things. All right. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that was easy. Oh, 1/3. What's 1/3?
0.3.
0.3 repeating. Very good. All right. Is everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Okay. So what I want to do now is we'll just knock out, what I want to do with you guys is I want to knock out 7. I want to knock out 7, 13, and 15. And then that's all on that page. That's all you have to do. All right? Just for, well, I'm going to go down and do 19, 21, and 23 with you also. All right? But let's go ahead and do 5/12. All right? And I'm going to reduce this down so I can get room.
Are you saying that?
I'll tell you more exactly what the homework is. Don't be confused. Just do what I'm doing right now, okay? I shouldn't have said that right now. All right, here we go. I don't want to confuse you, so let's concentrate on the work. So we're going 12 into 5, right? Thank you very much. 12 times 4 is 48. Subtract and get a once, right? Thank you. Hold up. So 12. And then that's 80, right? 12 goes into 80 how many times?
6.
6 times, right? Uh-oh. And then what?
And then that would be 72.
Then it repeats again, right?
That would be 0.416 repeated.
Well, what is repeated, though?
12.
6.
Only the what?
6.
Only the 6. So 5/12, remember, is the same as 0.416 with a bar over it. Well, because we're not repeating the 4 and the 1, right? Because this becomes 80, right? And then it becomes 72. Then it becomes a 6. And then that's the only one that's repeating. All right? The 6 is the only one that's repeating. All right? So I'm going to shrink this down again.
I don't know what we would do without the cutting thing.
I know, it's awesome, isn't it? It's really cool. All right? Now let's go with... Now, sorry, we're back on track now. Look right here real quick. All right? So now 45 times 2 is 90. When you subtract, you get what? Wow. So this one's really simple.
Yes.
So it's just what?
0.02.
Now you're saying 0.02 repeating.
But just the twos.
Just the 2. 0.0 with a with a bar over just the 2. Very nice. Very nice. Now I want to show you something that I really haven't, but I like this technique. 20 to me was easy to see that it's 0.65. Now how did I know that so quickly? Because I want to make it out of 100. Listen to what I'm saying. Right? So I can multiply 13 over 20 times 5 over 5, which would be 65 over 100. Does everybody get that? So anytime you can multiply a fraction and get it to 10, or get it to 100, or even get it to 1,000, it's okay. That's quicker. Yes.
Can't you just do 13 times 5?
Yes, that's what we did. 65 over 100, which is the same as 0.65. Is everybody happy with that? But of course, if you didn't see that, you would just do the what? Division. And it would give you the same answer. All right? But those are really, really good techniques. Really good techniques I want you to be able to do. All right? Now, I want to go down. We're going to kind of do some of the odds on this too. All right? Now, what is 13 divided by 2, guys?
6.
Wait a minute. Come on.
6 and 1/2.
Yes.
6.5.
Does everybody agree with that? 6.5? Now, of course, it would be negative 6.5, right?
Yes.
Now, we're comparing negative 6.5 to negative 6.4.
So it'll be 6.4.
Well, we would say negative 6.5 is less than, right? The more negative, the smaller. The more negative, the smaller. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, 15/20ths I can reduce by 5, right?
Yeah.
So if I divide by 5, divide by 5, or you can multiply by 5.
Yeah, which equals
But-
negative 7.5.
So 0.7. So
So
negative
equals
7.
Yes, I'm agreeing with you. Equals.
equals.
All right, now we should be good with 23 because we know 7/8 is 0.875, right?
And then 8/9 is 0.8.
Yes, good job, guys. I'm happy with that. So now you're looking at that. Now remember, if it's 0.8 repeating, right, you're comparing this to this. So far they're equal, right?
Right.
And then this 8 is greater than this 7, so we know it's that.
So the eighth is less.
Do you agree with that, guys?
Yes.
All right. So now let's look over here. 4/9 is what?
4 repeating.
4 repeating. Good. 444 over 1,000 is the same as what decimal? Everybody should know that. 0.444. Right?
Oh, okay.
It's like 4/10ths,
Oh.
44 hundredths, 44 thousandths. So that would be 0.444. I forgot the fraction bar. And then we're comparing 0.4. Now this is a fantastic problem. Fantastic problem. So I really want you guys to concentrate now and tell me which is the absolute smallest. 0.4 is. Because what would be after this? A 0.
And then that's
Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
And the other two have 4s in the next spot. So 0.4 is the smallest.
Right.
Now, the second number over here on 0.4 repeated would be a what? 4, right? So far they're what? Equal. Hello? The third number here is still a what?
A 4.
So they're still the same, right?
Yeah.
But the next number after 0.444 is a,
0.
this would be a 0 and this would be a,
Meaning.
so which one's bigger?
The 0.44 repeated.
0.4 repeated is. So we would say comma 444 over 1,000, and then we would say 4/9. Now that's a very good
Oh,
problem.
can we just write out like the solve?
Yes, I don't care if you write out the decimal. All right. Now last one for me. 27. Here we go. Listen out. Listen to me, please. 787 out of 1,000. So that would be 0.787. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Is this figure more or less than 7/9? Well, 7/9 is what decimal again? 0.7 repeated, right? So what would be the second digit for this 0.7 repeated?
7.
So now we're looking Which one's bigger?
The 0.787.
Yes, guys, you're brilliant. You're brilliant. All right. Now, here's your assignment, and I'll just make this clear. Look, these word problems down here are like the ERBs. So everybody has to do 1 through 6 for like the ERB stuff. If you had trouble, it's okay. They're supposed to be a little trickier, right? But that's kind of the ERBs. Then go back to the first worksheet, and all you have to do is the what?
Odds.
Good job. I just want you to do the odds. And those odds are at the beginning of the recording, right? But I did the evens with the other class also. Is everybody hearing me?
Yep.
Right? So on the first worksheet, you have to do the odds only. And on the third worksheet, you have to do all 6 of those. All right? We should be pretty close on time right now. I'm not sure, but I'm going to hit stop the tape. And you guys, without saying anything, continue to work. All right? Until the bell rings.